Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the functions page. So I know there was a little bit of confusion, so I'm going to help you out here. So let's talk about functions and what this means and what this can mean for us. For example, remember they're just different names, so f of x equals negative 2x plus 1, okay? And then we want to find out what happens when it becomes f of 1. And all we're doing is replacing whatever our x value is, so in this case it's just right here. We're going to replace it with what's in our parentheses. So then this would be negative 2 times 1 plus 1. Now don't forget about your negative. Don't be a negativist. Negative 2 times 1 is a negative 2. And then plus 1. So f of 1 equals a negative 1. That means when we put 1 in, our output is going to be a negative 1. Okay? And it doesn't matter if it's f, g, h. So for example, if we have h of t equals negative 0.75 t plus 12, and they're asking us to find h of 12. So remember, you're not really doing anything major, you're just replacing stuff. So in this case, I'm replacing my t with anything inside the parentheses, because that's my input. So it's going to be negative 0.75, or 3/4, times 12 plus 12. And remember, you have to do that multiplication first. I know for a lot of you forget to do that first. Okay, so then when we have this, we end up with h of 12 equals negative 9 plus 12. And so h of 12 would equal 3. So that just means that when we put 12 in, we get 3 out. It's just a different name. It's the same thing. Remember how we talked about it can be F, G, H, I, J, K, going through the alphabet. Okay. Now, sometimes what happens is we have our lovely graphs. So let me see if I can draw you guys a graph, and I am so sorry. Hold on. Let me go find one for you. Okay, so when we do this, we're just going to pretend that this is my graph. Okay? Now, when we have things where we are asking for example, f of 0, they just want to know when x is 0, where does it cross right here? They want to know what that value is. And that's all we're talking about. Sometimes, though, they will ask for x, okay, when f of x equals 2. So remember, this x value is our y. It's really the y-intercept. So they're asking what happens when we go over and we're looking at 2 on our y value. So 1, 2 in this case. They said, okay, so if this is 2, what's your x value? That's all they're asking for. It's just thinking about it backwards. So let me see if I can make that a little bit clearer. So this is asking for y value. And this one is asking for x value when y equals whatever is going to be here. Okay? Now, there are some really cool things with functions as well. And this one we didn't touch into as much, so don't worry if this was really confusing for you. But I think these are kind of cool. So instead of actually writing out the entire thing, sometimes, as I've said before, mathematicians are lazy. Like, really lazy. So what they'll do instead is we might say something like this. So you have f of x, which equals negative 4x plus 7. And then they'll tell you, and we have g of x, which equals 3x minus 1. 3x minus 1. And then for the shorthand, what they say is, well, what happens when we have f of x plus g of x? All they're asking you to do is kind of fill it in, substitution, that whole idea. So f of x would be negative 4x plus 7, and then plus whatever your g of x is, which is 3x minus 1. And here, all we're doing is combining like terms. So remember, these can go together. Negative 4x plus 3x is going to give us a negative 1x. And then 7 plus a negative 1 is going to give us 6. So that is all they're asking for. Sometimes they'll give you a subtraction, sometimes they'll give you a multiplication, but it shouldn't be too bad. Okay? Remember, if you have questions, please let me know. We're going to be working on a lot of this, so don't panic. And I will see you guys on Monday.